Good morning, boys and girls, moms and dads, grandmas and grandpas. It's so good to be with you this morning. I want to talk to you today about rocks. That sounds kind of unusual, I know. And I'd like to talk about David. David, if you remember, he was the one who killed the giant, Goliath. And after that, people really began to just think David was the best. Everywhere he went, people were saying, "There's David. Oh yeah, he's the one who killed Goliath. There's David." And someone got jealous. That someone was the king. His name was Saul. He wanted people to be talking about him, not David. It was made worse because David's best friend was the king's son, whose name was Jonathan. One day, when Jonathan and David were visiting, King Saul became so jealous that he flew into a rage and threw a spear at David. It missed, but David knew that he was going to have to hide from Saul. That night, he was let down from a rope out of his room. And David fled into the wilderness, where there were lots of mountains and rocks and valleys. Even today, this area is a pretty forbidding place. And David felt very alone because he had to leave behind all the people that he loved and that loved him. And David felt very, very lonely. And so David did what we should all do when we are feeling lonely. He called on God. And I'd like you to hear some of the words that David said when he called on God. They're from the Psalms, number 31. Starting with verse 1, it says, "O Lord, I have come to you for protection, because Saul's men and Saul were after him. Don't let me be disgraced. Save me, for you do what is right." So he's asking God to save him. "Turn your ear and listen to me, please, God. Rescue me quickly. Be my rock of protection, a fortress where I will be safe. You are my rock and my fortress. For the honor of your name, lead me out of this danger." So here is David praying to God. He's saying, "I'm alone. They're after me. God, please protect me." All around him, he saw rocks and caves, and he said that God is my rock. A rock is something very strong, isn't it? I thought about bringing a rock, but they were so heavy, I didn't. But a rock is, if you pick up a big rock, it can be really difficult because it weighs so much. A rock is strong, just like God is strong. And he said, "You are my fortress, God." A fortress means a place where you can go and hide and be safe. And sometimes David hid in caves, and those acted like a fortress for him because no one could see him inside that cave. He was invisible. People walking by, people riding by. So David said, "Please, Lord, protect me." And you know what? The Lord heard David's prayer. He was out there quite a while, but the Lord protected him. And eventually, David found his prayer answered more magnificently than I think he probably could imagine. Because when Saul was killed by their enemies, guess who became king? You're right, it was David. So God protected him, and God called him to be the king over all of Israel. I hope you'll remember that. When you feel lonely or you need protection, remember God is our rock and our fortress. He will protect us just as he did David back thousands of years ago. That's God's promise to us too. Thank you for listening. Bye.